Welcome to the Bold and Brilliant podcast, where women leaders share inspiring stories about the daring decisions that shape their businesses, their lives, and their careers. Today, I'm with the fabulous Caterina Rando. Caterina is a best-selling author, sought-after speaker, podcaster, retreat leader, and women's business mentor extraordinaire who passionately serves women leaders on a mission. As we talk, you'll hear Caterina share one bold decision that created her path of what was next. Her resilience, risk-taking, and transformation will inspire, encourage, and support your personal and professional growth and bliss. Welcome, Caterina, to the Bold and Brilliant podcast.
Thank you, Tracie. I am blissing to be with you.
Caterina, I am so excited that you're here to help me launch this brand new podcast that I've been imagining for so long. And you've been a big part of that imagining, helping me for the last 7 years. I'm really excited to reach people who maybe haven't met you yet and tell them about you and the things that you've done to get past your obstacles to be bold in your life and in your business. So tell everyone who doesn't know you a little bit about what got you here.
What got me here? Wow. The thing about entrepreneurship is it can be a very circuitous route. When I started, I was mostly coaching men and women one-on-one to grow their business. I had a cafe before that. Most of the people I met initially had on the ground brick and mortar businesses. Through the course of serving, two things became very clear. One, I love working with the women.
Yeah.
Also, I'm very much about women empowerment, and I want to support women to massively monetize in their business. And once I made the bold decision, and oh my gosh, so many amazing things happened. We started to be able to have tea parties and go on cruise retreats and do more female-centric things that I didn't even anticipate. Over the course of doing my work, there's been many bold decisions. I bought a magazine from someone else, and we had a magazine for a couple of years. I started publishing books. And my friend, there's been a lot of bold decisions, not all necessarily brilliant. But the thing about making bold decisions is you don't always know what's on the other side. You can strategize, you can anticipate. One big bold decision was I opened a center in San Francisco. We've been open for about 5 years now. The really cool thing is I got sick of giving all my money to the hotels to have my live and in-person programs. And I was, of course, blissing to not be giving them all my hard-earned cash. The thing that I did not anticipate was how much more ease and bliss it would bring into my life to have my own place where I get to leave all my stuff, to not have other people running around in my space like at a hotel. So it's nice and private.
It's almost like you're in your home in a lot of ways, right?
Mhm.
It's very welcoming. That reminds me of when you decided to work with only women, or at least % women. One of the things about being an entrepreneur is you don't realize how much you have to know about your own marketing and your own decision-making around what you're doing so that you can talk about what you're doing and attract those people. So that when you said I changed from supporting men and women to only women, it all started to make sense. I think there's a lot of entrepreneurs that can relate to that change, that decision to, quote, cut out people, half the population, and actually grow your business instead.
And let me say, Tracie, I had a lovely conversation today with a gal who is in that same conundrum, not about men and women, but about corporate and entrepreneur. The concern is always, if I don't be for everybody, then I'm going to lose potential business. And yes, Mary Jane and Sheila, if they're who you're not working with, they won't be a yes for you. The thing is, though, what we want is people to say, oh, she's for me. She's a great match for me. And the more we get clear about who we're called to serve, it doesn't actually eliminate people. It actually makes your people show up more. And then you can get very specific in all aspects of your business to just serve the people you're called to serve, resonate with you because you're talking to them. Everything you do is created for them.
Imagine as a potential client or someone who's looking for some sort of support, would you rather work with someone where you say, oh, that sounds like it's for me? Or, wow, that is so me. Like
Right.
you want to go for that person. And when we talk to our prospects, for lack of a better term, those potential clients, that with that level of clarity, it just makes it easier for them to say yes, not only for us to be able to serve them as well.
Yes, and it makes our marketing activities more clearer because they're
And efficient.
Yes, and the same thing with our sales. We will only schedule the opportunity to talk to gals who we think, oh yeah, she meets my client criteria. And I do want to say, Tracie, what you've heard me say so many times, is that when we think of our ideal clients, it's not only about demographics, what they do, what their income is, their education, their area of focus, maybe moms or not moms, a certain age or not a certain age. It's also the psychographics. And the more we can get clear about the personality of our ideal clients, more we will resonate. I like gals who are positive. I like gals with integrity. I like gals who are action oriented and gals that are good communicators. Those are my gals. Now, those are my gals. Everybody gets to decide on who their own ideal clients are. Let's not forget, though, about the personality makeup. That will have your people meet you and be like, bing, bing, this is the gal for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking about a gal that I was talking to the other day who's continued just early in their business, trying to figure out how to find more clients. And their marketing, their verbiage and everything is still really broad because they're early and they're figuring themselves out still.
Right.
And so if you're a brand new entrepreneur or new in this, whatever that specific field is, it can be a challenge to cut away at that excess. When you get there, all of a sudden it's, oh, and this feels right. They're showing up and all of a sudden this light turns on, not only inside you for knowing who you're talking to and what you're doing and why you're doing it for who, but the light turns on everywhere else, not only with your clients, but also in your bank account, because now people are going to be coming your way.
And if you're not sure, if gals are in early and they're not sure which direction to go, what pool to fish in, what I encourage them to do is to say yes to this, that, and the other thing and see how it feels. And if you like it, if you resonate with them, if they resonate with you. I remember early in my career, Tracie, I did a lot of work with professional organizers. They supervised with me. I've done a lot of work with image professionals because I'm an image enthusiast. That was from saying yes to talk to them, not knowing if they were going to love my talk or vibe with my message, but they absolutely did. And so in the beginning, it's okay to say yes to see what feels right and what matches you. I remember also, I used to be in the catering, as my friend, I had a cafe and catering business. And some gentleman said to me, hey, Caterina, will you come talk to my servers about building influence? And I'd love to talk about how to build influence. And I thought, hey, I used to be in the food business. This would be great. My friend, it was terrible. Okay. They were like ready to go to sleep. The guys had glasses on, some of them, because they wanted to take a nap during my talk. Okay. So hello, clearly not the right match, but I didn't know that until I put myself in that situation.
Yeah. And that really gets me back to the idea of making a bold decision and like being a yes. I read this book not long ago by Shonda Rhimes, famous Shonda Rhimes of many brilliant television shows that we all love. Book, The Year of Yes. She was a major introvert and she decided one year she was going to be a yes for all of this Hollywood parties and all the things she hated to go to, but she knew It was important for her to be a yes, to grow her influence in the world and be a part of the community that she was a part of, that she had to really struggle to put herself out there. I think it's a really great lesson for entrepreneurs. If you struggle with putting yourself out there, give yourself a shot. Take that risk, be bold, and say yes and see what happens, because it is all education.
Absolutely. I'm going to put that on my list.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so good. It's an excellent book. Very good.
Let's hang out here for a second, my friend, because I want to say that it's really important. As I love speakers, I want everybody to make sure that you're listening to books or listening or reading. We're very busy entrepreneurs, though, so it's mostly listening to books. Oh, did I use the word busy? Oh, I don't like to use that word. Our life is very full as entrepreneurs. I encourage everyone to listen to books because you get ideas and you do get inspired to pay attention to what are the lessons, because we can take inspiration from everywhere.
Mhm.
And that's one success practice I encourage everyone to embrace.
And podcasts is the same thing, whether it's books
Absolutely,
or
yeah.
podcasts, right? That's why I wanted to start this, because so many of the women that I've met and that I know I will get to meet as a result of having this platform will inspire and encourage. You really have any opportunity in front of you when you are open to the thoughts you take in from other people's experiences and what they've learned. We don't all have to recreate the wheel. We don't have to start our life from zero. We have much advice to use as leverage.
Yes. I think I told you this. Allegra, who's one of our VIP
Yes, I love
clients,
Allegra.
she said to me that my podcast got her through the pandemic, and which warmed my heart. And that's podcasting is so great for people to get to know us.
Yeah.
And I love it when people tell me, "Oh, I listened to your podcast," because it's like they're it's like being a star in the sense that they feel like they really know you. And that's what we want, right? We want people to really get to know us. And our podcast is not only a way for us to have them get to know us, but it's also a way for us to serve them before they step in to be a client.
Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely have lots. I mean, you've started your podcast within the last 7 years that I've already known you. So I already knew you, but there's lots of people out there who I've never met listening to their podcasts who are, famous in the entrepreneurship,
Yes.
self-help, whatever world, who I feel like I know them. Like we
Right.
totally would be best friends if we ever actually met in person, because we are like, aligned.
Yes.
And I think yeah, it's a great way to do you like, the question that's coming to my mind is, these people that we have never met, I still call them my mentors, even
Absolutely.
though they have no idea who I am at all.
Right.
But they've mentored me through different skills, different, abilities, different ways of thinking about things, different ways of looking at my business or myself. So it's a great way to get free mentorship, podcasting.
Yes, absolutely. And Tracie, the other thing I love to do is I love to go to workshops, which I know you do. And I'm working on my next book right now. And I was listening to one of my podcast episodes, and I was talking about a breakthrough I had when I attended Maritza Levy. Do you remember her, Maritza Levy?
Yeah,
And
I love Maritza.
this workshop on self-love. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just had a major breakthrough.
Yep, I remember that.
Yeah. And she was talking about the love languages. And I love the love languages, and I talk about them for client appreciation, but she was talking about them from the perspective of loving yourself. And my friend, how come I never thought of that? Right.
Yeah.
So my point is that it's not only the famous people that can inspire us. It's the gal who's doing a workshop. It's the gal in your networking group. That's why, I want us to be in community more, because we inspire and uplift each other.
Absolutely. And whenever I need an uplift, I know all I have to do is just reach out to someone in the community or go to a thing. Exactly. Whether it's, a workshop or a networking thing or any of the above, it's the best uplift of your day for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Or come to afternoon tea, my friend.
I know. I love coming to afternoon tea. And okay, so you touched briefly on the decision, that big, bold decision to have your own center and
Yes.
how it feels to be there, to host it and everything. What was the challenge that maybe you had what kept you from doing it at first?
Well, my friend, I live in San Francisco, okay?
Oh, this is
So
true.
it's not like, there's a lifetime supply of locations at an affordable price. And
Or any.
right. So I'm, for a long time, I'm looking around for the right place. And just like we created criteria for our ideal clients, I created a criteria for what I thought was right for my center. Not too big, access to parking, of course, enough bathrooms for ladies. And I wanted it to be beautiful. In fact, my idea was to make it like the idea of a comfortable men's club only for women,
Oh,
very
yeah. Mhm.
feminine with the bright colors and the crystal chandeliers. And, we have the red carpets and, of course, flowers, all of that. So it needed to meet the aesthetics too. So I really wasn't finding the location. And then, as you know, my mom and I own a commercial building in San Francisco together, and the hair salon guy was ready to move out. And even though it wasn't the ideal space in my head at the moment, I was like, well, it's the opportunities presenting
Could it
itself.
work?
So,
Yeah.
right, because sometimes it's not, is it right or is it wrong? It's how can I make it right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we did. We took time to add a few more bathroom stalls and to change the walls from blue to more of a yellow or gold, to, tear out the carpets and feminize the joint so that it would be right for the ladies.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. It reminds me so much of when we made Gather, of course, and I'm doing an
Ah,
episode on that as well. If you haven't seen the episode about the creation of Gather in the Gather community, go listen to that. But it's so funny because, the first place that we actually found that we were going to move forward with was an old hair salon. So
okay.
it's a funny coincidence. It turns out that that building was slated for demolition, so they could only process it or promise it to us for a short period of time. Now, shoot, if we would have known that, it would have made it all the way through COVID, super, super cheap, right? But
Oh my
but
gosh.
we didn't know that COVID was going to happen. So what do you do? So I found a different place that, was the same idea, right? We had the criteria. We needed to have access to the bathrooms, and what are we going to do for water, and how much space is it, and how many people can it hold, and where's the parking, and all of those things. So yeah, I love that. And you did your center before I did mine, and of course I learned a lot from you and your search, and all of the other places that we would go show up together. You might be speaking, we might be networking, wherever. And that was a really important part of that decision making process for me, because it continues to validate the ideas that are in your head when you see them out in the
Right.
world, and you um, get to take in the experiences of other people, and how did you handle this challenge, because I'm facing the same challenge. So if
Mhm.
you get to do that in person, or do it through reading a book or listening to a podcast, it's all that same education that we get as a large community.
And talk to the people that are doing what you want to be doing.
Yeah.
And I'll also say, Tracie, I teach, and you came with me when we did our retreat on how to do retreats.
Yes. A couple
Before
times.
I before I did retreats, I didn't take a class on retreats. I went on other people's retreats.
Yeah.
I find that I learn, and also I get inspired when I go and watch somebody do what I want to be doing.
Yeah.
That is really something. And then also, which I've seen with so many of my gals that have done retreats, is that when they come, they get inspired and it gives them momentum
Yep.
to then go do their own, which is so exciting.
Yeah. I wonder if it is a high achiever tendency, right? That we experience something and it's like, ooh, I could do something like this, and I would do it this way, and I would do it that way, not to compare and not to one up, but just to take that inspiration and immediately start thinking about how could you, if it's really exciting that you are inspired to consider how you could do it yourself, to start thinking about that. I remember at my retreat last September that you were at, and several people, were there, we're having a retreat, and immediately upon kind of landing and taking that first relaxing retreat breath, one of the gals was like, oh, I know what I need to do next. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. And like, it just shot out of her the inspiration and excitement of what she was going to create next. And I think that happens for all of us who get to attend each other's things.
Absolutely. And it's important to go to each other. I love going to women's retreats to see how they do it, to be inspired, to get ideas, but also, it's nice to not be in charge and be the.
Absolutely. I totally agree. The other thing that just came to mind too was, sometimes we talk ourselves out of going places or experiencing things. What am I going to get out of it? Am I going to get my ROI? Right. And ROI shows up in a lot of different ways. And so what could you learn from attending or experiencing someone else's thing? Just by being there, there's an education happening. And, maybe they're not all perfect for you, but what if 4 people are? And maybe that it's not, a topic, but that they're a good speaker. So you can go and learn from their style, maybe not the content or whatever. So I love the idea of taking the communities that you belong to. And I don't know about you, but I have like 7 different organizations that I'm a part of, in order to take on what I can, to be a yes, and to take that information and see how it can unfold for myself.
I think being a yes is a great guiding principle. What I want to say is it's important to pay attention to, do I want to be a yes, and does it feel like
Yes.
I'm a yes? And you're making me, as we're talking about travel, you're making me think about earlier this year when my friend Peggy said to me 4 days before she was leaving, do you want to go with me to Paris? And of course, my first thought was, I can't go. I have too much on my plate. But then I took a deep breath and I asked myself, do I want to go? And the answer was yes, of course I want to go. And then I said, okay, well, if I want to go, how can I make it happen? Back to that earlier question, is not should I or shouldn't I, but how can I? And then not only did I go and have a great time with Peggy when we went to Paris, but I realized, hey, I could see my friend who I hadn't seen in many years, who had moved to Paris. And then I ran into some gals from another community that we're involved with. They invited me to dinner, they invited me to shopping, and that helped to enhance those relationships as well. And so, amazing things happen once we say yes.
Yeah.
But it does require, Tracie, the topic of our conversation, it does require not only bold action, but bold decision making.
Yeah. 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 You touched on the whole, whether it's a should I or shouldn't I? And I think that's a really kind of anchoring piece of that, where our natural tendency would be like, I shouldn't go. Right. I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't do that. I should do this. And I don't know about you, but I decided to take that word out of my vocabulary many years ago, very intentionally, right? And it took a little bit, especially in the beginning. And now it's just like, no. We don't say should or shouldn't. It's what's the right, because you can say it in a different way without the shaming part of should, right? So important. I love that.
Yes, and it slips in sometimes. As a guiding principle, it's very good to pay attention to when we're shoulding ourselves, because there is another way. My friend, I also have to point out that this is part of the beauty of entrepreneurship, is that you get to
decide.
You get to do your life the way you want to do it. You don't have to ask anybody's permission. And it doesn't matter if people think it's whatever to drop everything and do
Yep.
something you want to do. You get to run your business and your life any way you want. Bing, bing, bing.
Yay. I love it. I love it. Okay. Let's see. You know, the last thing that I want to ask you is about like you made a big shift not long ago to really focus on what helps you bliss more in your business.
Yeah, bliss more.
And that's a bold decision, trajectory changing kind of thought also. Because yeah, I mean, you've made a lot of decisions that was like, okay, I'm going to create this in my business. I'm going to create this. But to say, you know what, I'm going to do what makes me bliss and have that be like the overarching theme of everything, life, business, relationships, all of it. What's the hardest part about reminding yourself that you're only going to do what makes you bliss? So it goes back maybe to that should part. Like, I'm supposed to also be doing this, but I don't love it, but it really needs to be done. It doesn't make me bliss. What do I do?
Well, you know, the thing is, women start businesses because they want to help people for the most part. Or some gals might start their business because they want to make more money than whatever they were doing. And hopefully they're doing that. What I got clear on, though, in coaching hundreds of women's over the years in their business, is not everybody was blissing. Like, they were happy that they were in their own business, but they were struggling financially, or they were struggling with the to-dos, or they're struggling with getting clients. And struggle is the opposite of bliss.
Yeah.
Or at least I don't know if it's the exact opposite, but it's definitely not
in your definition. It's all good.
Right? And so I wanted to have women pay a lot more attention to what makes them bliss. And part of what takes away their bliss, Tracie, is when they're doing things that are not their job, and they're doing things that they're not masterful at, or they're not wanting to be masterful at. Like,
doing it because it has to be done and they don't see any other way.
Right. Now, gals will tell me, they have told me, well, Caterina, I have to edit my own videos because I don't have money to pay someone else to do it. Well, then you got to learn how to master selling, or you've got to learn how to master something else, because the biggest thing that takes away bliss from women in business, in my opinion, Tracie, is a lack of financial surplus. When they are, you know, every month not having money to pay their bills.
Yeah.
And then there's also not building your financial savvy. I remember once a gal said to me, "Oh my gosh, Caterina, I got to pay my taxes." And I thought to myself, okay, taxes are not a new thing. You've been in business for many years, okay? And it's not like, surprise, now we have taxes, right? My point is that she was not on top of her business financial situation, and now it was causing her stress.
Yeah.
And stress doesn't equal bliss. So we have to be strategic to run our business, and during our strategy, pay attention to what do you enjoy, because the more we are blissing in our business, guess what? The more people we're attracting, the more vitality we're having to do our thing, the more creativity. You know, it's really hard to be creative when you're stressing financially.
Yep.
These are a few thoughts. So I guess part of why I'm blissing in my business, not I guess, my friend, I'm sure. Part of why I'm blissing in my business is I run my business always with surplus. And that also gives me more freedom to be able to say yes to my friend who wants to invite me to Paris, to be a yes for my friend, our mutual friend, Karen, who just invited me on her retreat for next year that wasn't on my calendar. I can be a yes, and that's good for my business, and that's good for my life. And that's what I want for everybody.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Well, amazing. And, you know, I think that that's a great way to end, because ultimately that's the whole reason why this podcast exists, why my business exists, why your business exists, why we exist as humans, is because we want everyone around us to be happy and to enjoy their lives. And not in the sense of, oh, I have things or whatever, but that the decisions that you make serve you. They're not because you have to or because someone else needs something, but because you're choosing the path that you're going down. And that's that bold decision that we make all the time. I have a list of 20 that I just came up with off the top of my head for episodes for this podcast, because every day we're making bold decisions that uplift ourselves, our families, our businesses, our communities, the planet. And I am really glad that you are here with me to talk about some of yours and some of mine. And we're going to kick this party off with lots and lots of bold decisions and great success for lots of women. So thank you, Caterina.
Oh, my friend, I'm always blessing to be with you. I'm looking forward to the upcoming bold action retreat. I love to retreat. I love to retreat with you. I love to hang out with you and travel around. And part of the reason, and let me just say this, my friend, for wrapping up, really, it's important to hang out with women that are having similar values to us. You value being bold. You value being positive. You value being uplifting. You value no drama. These are also things that I value, which is part of the reason we're such good friends and why I'm always blessing to be with you. And it's important for women in their life and in their business to get clear, what kind of gals do I want to hang out with? And hang out with those gals that you leave more uplifted when you go away from them. You're more uplifted than before you showed up.
Yep. They invite you to something, be a yes.
Yes, be a yes.
Yay. I love that we're kind of wrapping on being a yes today, because we're ready to take this on to the rest of our day and the rest of our week and the holiday season where we're at now here in our fancy reds and going into 2025. So I'm thrilled that you were here with us. I know that, we know how to find you, CaterinaRando.com. Facebook is a big place. LinkedIn is a big place. Of course, we'll have all of your links and things here in the notes. Yes.
Okay, great. And everybody, CaterinaRando.com/links. Lots of free business building resources, information about my next free workshop. I would love to meet any gals. Tracie, any friend of yours is a friend of mine.
Same here. Okay. I love it. Thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate you so much. Thanks for everything that you have done. And to all of you listeners out there, thank you for listening to the Bold and Brilliant podcast. And I hope our discussion today was just what you needed to take your next bold step forward toward your brilliant future. Cheers. Thank you for listening to the Bold and Brilliant podcast. I'm your host, Tracie Root, and I want to invite you to check out the show notes, find out where you can connect with our guests, find out more about what I and the Gather community have to offer you, and be sure to subscribe to this podcast on your favorite platform. Thanks so much.